It's one of the largest supervolcanoes in the country, and recent work out of the University of New Mexico led to a breakthrough discovery that could help geoscientists better predict an eruption and save lives. News 13's Bello Olage reports.
So it's very satisfying to see that come to fruition.
Tobias Fisher is a distinguished professor of Earth and Planetary Sciences at the University of New Mexico, and he's teamed up with a colleague to investigate Yellowstone National Park's volcanic system.
Professor Brandon Schmant is really the person who started this project. He's a geophysicist, and he wanted to investigate the composition of the magma and where the magma is under Yellowstone, and especially how much volatiles are in the magma right now.
Fisher says Yellowstone's last volcanic eruption was about 70,000 years ago, and there's still an entire system sitting below the park today. Last August, KRQE reported on a localized hydrothermal explosion that happened at the national park.
So the hydrothermal system has all these beautiful geysers and hot springs and mud pots that attract millions of people a year to see the park and see these features.
The team's study led them to look at earthquakes they produced themselves with a big thumper truck.
With that detailed geophysical study, they can make a very nice CAT scan, essentially, of what's under Yellowstone. And they discovered that there is a really gas-rich, volatile-rich cap on top of the magma chamber.
Fisher says when volcanoes erupt, they're driven by new magma coming into the system. They use samples from Yellowstone on this machine to learn more.
As magma rises towards the surface, gases like water and CO2 exalt from that magma at shallower levels.
Those gases migrate up to the surface and then eventually accumulate at some depth. The group found exactly where that accumulation happens, allowing them a better picture at what's taking place right under our feet.
So it's a very detailed image of the quantity of water, the quantities of pores, the quantities of magma, and where exactly it sits under Yellowstone, how big it is.
Bella Olage, KRQE News 13.
Fisher says that the Yellowstone system is similar to the Valles Caldera here in New Mexico. Although Valles Caldera is smaller, it's a supervolcano that's produced large eruptions roughly 1 million years ago.
Tourists in a pool in Sicily apparently ignoring the plumes of smoke coming from Mount Etna, one of the world's most active volcanoes. Plumes of smoke started early Monday morning after Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology started clocking tremors Sunday night. The group reporting that the volcano has been going through, quote, explosions of growing intensity in recent weeks with frequent and powerful eruptions all May.
Around the world, we're seeing some breathtaking images here of this mesmerizing eruption in Italy. Check out this. This is as Mount Etna is erupting. The footage showing smoke rising from that crater there, the westernmost summit crater. Was formed in 1968 as a small pit crater on the summit crater cone. The last major eruption of this crater was back in 1999. This latest eruption is considered small and non-explosive.
Mount Etna in Italy has put on a dazzling fiery display. Fountains of lava roared into the air from the southeast crater, while glowing ash clouds drifted over the night sky. Activity intensified at Europe's most active volcano earlier this year. The powerful eruption marks the 13th for 2025.
Italy's Mount Etna volcano erupted yesterday. You can see all of the smoke plumes filling the sky, billowing out, sending everybody nearby scrambling to get away. What a sight there. Certainly, they had to cancel the flights by the airport there in Sicily. Mount Etna, of course, is one of the most active volcanoes in the world, and it usually erupts a few times a year, including several times just last month, but this one was spectacular.
It's a spectacular sight, and it had tourists on the hop. Mount Etna erupting in dramatic fashion, the world's most active volcano putting on quite the show.
The start of summer in Sicily, marked by an almighty eruption. Tourists fleeing down Mount Etna, racing against cascading gas and an avalanche of ash and rock. One of the world's most active volcanoes putting on its biggest show in more than a decade. The eruption began around 11:30 in the morning. A red alert briefly put in place for flights, But local airports continued to operate as the volcanic cloud shot an estimated 6.5 kilometres into the air. Scientists suggesting Mount Etna's display was triggered by a partial collapse of the southeast crater, which has produced spectacular lava flows in recent months. Authorities say there was no immediate danger, with no debris reaching tourists who will now be going home with quite the travel story.
This is one of the larger eruptions it's had in the last decade or so.
This tower of smoke more than 20,000 feet tall and visible for miles in every direction. And once darkness falls, spurts of lava spectacularly visible. This thermal camera showing lava pouring down the mountainside. Among those to witness Etna's power, Keith and Kristen Nicewinder from outside Philadelphia.
It was hundreds of feet in the air. It looked like an atomic bomb had gone off. It was really the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
What did you think when you saw it?
At first I thought it was so surreal that it wasn't happening, and then it registered.
The couple came to Sicily to trace Kristen's family tree and ended up encountering the same volcano her ancestors would have seen.
So I guess the Sicilians call her the Mother Mountain, Mother Etna. Mm-hmm. And
she was getting angry.
She's getting angry.
Mother Etna has been erupting for thousands of years, its ancient power an occasional challenge to modern living in Sicily. The last major eruption in 2024 forcing a one-day closure of the island's main airport, part of life in the shadow of the volcano.
So what are the folks there saying now? Is it safe to travel there?
Yeah, Savannah, so authorities in Sicily are saying the eruption itself has now ended, but they're closely monitoring the lava flow. At this point, there is no sign the lava has gone beyond a kind of natural containment area up near the summit. So big picture, yes, authorities are saying still safe for tourists to head to the islands. Savannah?
Okay, the floor is not lava.
I thought that might boost tourism, people wanting to go see it.
Well, yeah.
Pretty cool.
How does this compare to other eruptions over the years in terms of size?
Okay, so I say it's a very common eruptive activity of Mount Etna. Specifically, since 2011, hundreds of these episodes occurred. There are very short time episodes. They last a couple of hours, 3-4 hours, and then that's all. Yes, you are running the 2021. That's a particular period. Basically, between February and March, April 2021, we had this kind of eruption every day, 2 hours, 3 hours, and then it's all stopped. So it's, to conclude, it's a very common activity at Mount Etna that obviously attract many people, tourists from Europe, from the world.
Yeah, it attracted me there a couple of years ago. And so is it expected at some stage there could be a really big explosion at Etna?
I don't know. I don't think so. We are expecting maybe another of these episodes when, the volcano needs to be recharged new magma and then feed another event. This last event took 20 days from the last one on 12 May. So basically, more time between the episodes, more energy is within the volcano to expel. So it's probably that we might have another explosive eruptions, but there is obviously an uncertainty in what we expect to say about the natural phenomenon. So although Italy has a very well developed monitoring system, there is always an uncertainty in forecasting volcanic eruption and whatever that is the natural hazard.